Hey, everyone. Welcome to the Potomac Local News Podcast. I'm your host, Potomac Local founder, publisher, Uriah Kiser. Tug Coker is an actor across many medium, and he joins us on the podcast today to talk about his upcoming role at the Riverside Center for the Performing Arts in To Kill a Mockingbird. Tug, thanks for coming on today.
It's my pleasure, Uriah. Thanks for having me.
So, you're a Fredericksburg guy. You're born in Fredericksburg. You're coming home to play for us here in our playhouse, as it were. Talk to me about, and you have, as I alluded to in the open, you have a storied career across multiple television, Broadway. I can read your accolades, and I'll just do that because you in TV and film, you've been in The Office, How I Met Your Mother, CSI, House of Lies. You did a sports comedy series that you created called Now We're Talking, which you and I now we're talking. So I imagine it follows two former quarterbacks navigating life after football, and then many of those go into talking gigs and TV. But You've also been on Broadway, and now we're talking about stage today, and this is obviously very appropriate. You played NBA legend Larry Bird. So you've done it all, and now you're doing it for us here in Fredericksburg in To Kill a Mockingbird. So welcome home, and tell us why you're excited to grace the stage.
Well, thank you so much for that nice intro. It's great to be home. I mean, as you said, I grew up in Fredericksburg, Virginia. I told everyone at the Riverside Theater of all the schools that I went to in the area, which was, I went to Montfort Academy for first grade. I went to Falmouth Elementary. I went to Gale Middle School. I went to Stafford High School. I went to college. I played 1 year of college basketball. Never played. Just sat the bench at the College of William and Mary. And then I transferred and graduated from the University of Virginia. So my whole life, up to 22 years old, was in Virginia. And so what's fun for me is to have the opportunity to come home and do a show in my hometown. I mean, I think it's something that you don't have a lot of opportunity unless you live in New York City or grew up in New York City or grew up in LA, and which I have a lot of friends. And I have a lot of friends that are from LA or from New York, and they get to see their families and they get to see plays in their hometown. But I've never had that opportunity. And so when this opportunity was presented to me, where I could be in an iconic American story, an iconic American play, and also see my mom and dad every day for a couple months, that sounds like a dream job to me. So
you live in California, so you are quote unquote visiting, and it's good to have you back home. Talk to me about this show that you guys are putting on. Opens in a sleepy town in Alabama in the Great Depression, and Atticus Finch, who again, I've heard the name, and
Yep.
I remember when I think there was a sequel that came out about 15 years ago to Set a Watchman was the sequel to this book. It finally came out from HarperCollins, who wrote the original To Kill a Mockingbird. So set up the show for us. What are we going to see when it hits the stage?
So the book is written by Harper Lee, and she only wrote two things that were published, and that was To Kill a Mockingbird I think it was published in 1960, and then Go Set a Watchman came out about 10 or 12 years ago, which was it was written around the same time that she wrote To Kill a Mockingbird, but wasn't published for another 50 plus years. But you're right. This iconic American story takes place in Macomb, Alabama, and it's the story of two young children trying to survive and live and thrive in a small town of Alabama in the 1930s. And they have a father, and the kids are named Scout, iconic name, Jim, her older brother, and they have a father named Atticus Finch, who is also a defense attorney in Alabama, a trusted, respected figure in the small town, and he's taken on a court case where he's trying to defend a black man on trial for some crimes that he's been charged with, and that stirs up controversy and drama within the town. You can imagine what that was like in 1935 when the show takes place, and how that trial affects not only the town, but Atticus Finch and his two kids.
How much do you think, when you compare 1935 and what you did to research for the show, and obviously the character and the setting, when you compare that time frame to today, are there any parallels that you could note in terms of society, the way we carry ourselves, the way, social norms, maybe even the way we dress? Obviously, I look to see a lot of classic menswear, a lot of period piece clothing in this. I'm looking forward to seeing the sets and the costumes. But what parallels can you draw from your preparation and your in this show to where we are today?
Well, first of all, you can drop right into the show with your outfit that you have on today. You fit in perfectly. And today we actually have what's called a costume parade, where we show off all the things we've been trying on for the director to get final approval. So I've been trying on multiple suits, 5-6 suits. I got vests. I've got hats. I've got a pocket watch. I've got the whole ensemble ready to rock. But as far as parallels, I was talking about this with my family, and I should say, my sister also lives in town in Fredericksburg. My other sister lives in Richmond. So I've had this wonderful opportunity to kind of get together to talk to them about the show. And we talk about why it's so timely right now. And yes, you think about 1935, you have to imagine, I was saying 1935 feels both like a long time ago and not that long ago. It has a weird, time is so funny in that way especially as you get older. You start to realize, that was not so long ago. My grandparents were alive during that time. And in Macomb, Alabama, there was separate bathrooms for Black and white people. People were still alive that had been involved with the Civil War. Mm-hmm. And so there's so much history happening at that time, and it's carried through. And what I find it to be relevant today is that we're talking about things. The judicial system has never been more topical than it's been in the past few weeks. The idea of due process in the court of law for people. Talk about it in the court case in To Kill a Mockingbird, that all men are created equal. We're talking about that now. And so that relevancy, I think, is number one. And then talking about how people discuss race in public versus private settings, I think is something that we do still today as well. On the heels of the George Floyd murder and things like that, we're still talking about conversations and how to talk about those conversations openly, honestly. So I think all of these things were relevant then, and they're still relevant today.
In addition to being an actor and being on TV and film and Broadway, you're, as I said earlier, you create. You created a TV show. You're a writer. You're a producer, and as a media guy myself, who thinks in the headspace of local and how can we inform our local community, I just wanted to get your take on the evolution of content, of entertainment, and how it's changing and how it's delivered. I mean, we are seeing so many things go to YouTube now, and now we're seeing, I read something very interesting the other day about how the golden age of streaming is over, and that was back in 2013 2014, when everything was on Netflix, and now everything is sort of scattered all over in terms of streaming platforms and content, different places. But how is the way we are entertained, how is that changing, and how do you think that will continue to change as you continue to write, produce content, and for different medium?
It's a great question. I think I'm going to take this in two ways. One, I'm going to talk about, first of all, I want to talk about the play itself. And I think because of what you're saying of, let's use you as an example, where you have an interview with me and you're going to chop it up and use it in multiple ways. I think that is one way that people are doing it. It's coming from a source that you trust and like, and you're going to follow them, connect with them on their journey as they write an article, do an interview, do something on YouTube. So I think that's one way. We're seeing a lot of siloed content creators who develop trust with their audience, and that audience goes with them on the journey I see that firsthand with you. I see it with people that I follow, right? I like them. I tune in weekly to their podcast. Oh, they have a video. I go to their video. Oh, they have an article about their adventure. I go on them. So I think that's one of the new things that we're seeing in today's age of content creation, which is just brand trust, I guess, is a way of saying it. The second thing I want to say is, and I wanted to start with the theater, and I dovetailed, and I'm going to dovetail it back. What I think is interesting about the theater, a place that I trained in and I love, I've been a part of for the past 20 years. I was involved with sports for a long time, and my sports career ended, and I found another place where I feel like people are working together to find a common goal to put on something that people can come watch, a community feeling. And I think what's so cool and relevant about plays today is, I talk about this a lot, this idea of a third space, where people have a space at home, they have a space oftentimes at work, and then there's the third space, which could be church or it could be youth sports. But I think theater should be a part of that. It's a place where people can go hear ideas, watch ideas be exchanged, and you take that home and you discuss it. And I think that's so important nowadays, especially when we're on screens more and more. To go to a place where you're detaching yourself from being on a screen all day. I saw stuff. I always think about this. I can't remember where I saw it, but someone described his day, and he goes, little screen, big screen, big screen, little screen, big screen, little screen. And so the idea to be able to detach yourself and sit next to someone else, whether you know them or you don't know them, and you laugh at similar jokes or you don't laugh, you hear moments that impact you and maybe impact someone else differently, and you go out into the lobby and you have a drink and you talk about it. Like that, to me, that is so important.
Yeah, it's communal. It's a total communal thing. Yeah.
And so, and you're talking about local ideas, right? That's something that that's one of your heartbeats. So to me, the theater is extremely local because only certain people can be in that space at one time. It's also ephemeral. So if you want to talk about local, I think the theater is a great highlight for that. And I think the opportunity for people to bring this to the Riverside, part of the reason I wanted to do the show is because I really believe in what they're doing. I also believe because the area has grown so much since I grew up here. We need spaces like what Riverside is doing where people can come in and watch shows and talk about ideas. They just did Jesus Christ Superstar. They're about to do To Kill a Mockingbird. Next to Normal, about mental health, is coming up next. I mean, of course we want to entertain people, but also to exchange ideas, I think is just so relevant, so important, and so necessary. So,
and I hope you get a chance to come out and see the cast here and To Kill a Mockingbird. The show runs May 7th through June 22nd here, 2025, at the Riverside Center for the Performing Arts. The website is riversidedt.com. Tug, this was fun. Thanks for coming on.
Great. You're right. I want to say one last thing. And this is in support of our local news, our local life, local world. Is that I've been able to work at such great theaters like on Broadway, off Broadway, and regionally. And the Riverside has really world-class facilities. I mean, it's really the potential to become a nationally known theater in our hometown is right there. And I think we're making great shows. We're doing great things. We're thinking big thoughts. And I'm excited for what we're doing with To Kill a Mockingbird. And I'm really excited for what is to come next for Riverside. So I hope everyone from the area comes out and supports Riverside and comes see To Kill a Mockingbird. Thank you for my stump speech. Thank you for your time. It's great to be with you.
Thank you. Thanks for joining us on the Potomac Local Podcast. We'll see you next time.